Hi, my name is Jeanette, and I am the digital content manager here at Opens Clicks Cash. And today we're going to be talking about part 3 of how you can get more from your CRM and leverage systems to complete your internal tasks. But before we get into it, make sure you go ahead and like this video, share it on your social media platforms. And if you're not already subscribed, make sure you go ahead and subscribe now because every Wednesday and Friday we drop new videos showing you how to grow your business with digital marketing. Okay, so if you've been with us for the last 2 weeks, you know that the use case that we created for this video tutorial was for entrepreneurs, rather solopreneurs who are out and about networking, meeting prospects, but they don't have a lot of time in the moment to go into detail about, their services, how they can help that person with their business and things like that. But they exchange information in the moment and they kind of promise to follow up with one another. So in part 1, we were talking about how we can create a system that follows up with the prospect and tries to get them on a discovery call. So that was the first kind of call to action, right? Then in video 2, we followed up after the discovery call. We created a system to follow up with that prospect after the discovery call, and we sent them a PDF, which was like a proposal. So it went into detail about how that entrepreneur can help the prospect, and it goes into detail since they already met in the discovery call, and that entrepreneur has more information at that point, right? So now part 3 today, we are going to talk about how to follow up after that person decides, yes, they want to move forward, they're ready to sign a contract, and we're going to create a system for onboarding your new clients with the CRM. So that's what part 3 is going to be, and then we'll wrap up the series with this one, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is hop inside of Entreport. We'll go ahead and create another internal form, and then we will build out the automation together. So let's do it. Okay, so for the sake of time, I did already create the internal form that I wanted to use for this automation. However, if you need to learn how to create websites and landing pages and things like that, make sure you check the link in the description box. I will go ahead and make sure you guys have access to that video. It's something that we did a while back, but it is there if you need it. I just wanted to show you the form so you can kind of see my train of thought with this. So it's very similar to the other internal forms that we created for part 1 and 2 of this video, but I did add a few other merge fields. So of the new merge fields I added were contract start date, contract end date, and scope of project. So I just think that those were good kind of bits of information or data points that you might want to look at, in the future, if you're ever going back through your client roster. Oh, I worked with this person on this project, and this is what we discussed and things like that. So definitely wanted to kind of make a way for the entrepreneur in this scenario to kind of keep a bookmark of those things. So now what we're going to do is we're going to head over to automations, and we will create an automation that begins with this form being filled out. This is after the client signs on to move forward with the project proposal and things like that. So again, in part 2, we sent over the prospect a detailed proposal with all of the information from the discovery call and how the entrepreneur will be able to help them. And we pretty much extended an offer. They accepted it, and now we're going into the onboarding phase. So let's head over to automations and we'll finish this up. Okay, so here we are inside of Entreport, and the very first thing we're going to do, of course, is click this orange button, new automation. So once we get in here, we are going to build this from scratch, which is the top option. And up in the top left corner, I'm going to give this a name really quick. Just OCC onboarding example. All right, so as you know, Entreport does give us a default trigger, and it's just asking us, if someone gets added to this map manually, what do you want to happen next? So in this case, we're going to remove them from the map. If someone gets added here manually, it's probably just an accident. So I'm going to put an end here, and then I'm going to click on the end. And then in the top left corner, I will go ahead and check this box to remove them. So if you hover over the arrow here, you can add another trigger, and The trigger we're going to add here, of course, is that the form is filled out. So of course, you probably already know this, but I just want to reiterate that, of course, once you complete this form, you are completing it yourself internally or your team member internally for that person. So of course, you're not going to put your own name. They're not going to put their, your team member wouldn't put their name, right? You would put in the client's name, their email, all of their information as if they're filling out the form themselves. And then that's going to trigger this automation map. So we're going to do contact submits the prospect form, and that was the third one. Here it goes. And we're just going to click done here. I'm sorry, I didn't go over the settings. So on the left-hand side, there are settings here. It's asking us who can activate this trigger. We're going to leave it as the default, which says any contact in the account. That is correct. And then they're asking us if the contact is already on the map, then what should we do? Should we ignore this trigger? I'm going to leave that as ignore. You're not going to probably complete an internal form with the same client information, because this is all based on them reaching back out to you and deciding to move forward with the contract. So can't imagine that you would accidentally fill that out more than once. So we're just going to click done. And then for what happens next, it depends on your business. So if you do have a VA, or if you do have, an assistant or anything that will be handling this for you, this onboarding process, then you probably would have a wait here. So the wait would probably be, make sure it's Monday through Friday around 9 a.m. That's when they start, right? Because who knows when you're going to fill out this internal form, right? So sometimes clients may get back to you late at night, and if you get the email and you notice that they do want to move forward, you might just want to fill out your internal form right away so that you don't forget. Maybe you have a few moments wherever you are at the time, so you just go ahead and do it. But if the task is going to go to a team member or someone else, you may not want them to get it at that time. So you probably would have a wait here. In this case, of course, we are talking about an entrepreneur who is working alone. So we're not going to put a wait here. Plus, at the end, when I do my testing, we don't want to be held up by a wait. So for what happens next in this case, we're going to do assign a task. So I'm going to click on task. Oops. And I did, again, go ahead and complete this task before the recording. So if you want to learn how to create a task, I will also link to that video below, just so you guys can see that. But the task here is called client onboarding. And I will go ahead and show you what it looks like, just so you can see kind of what we're working with. Okay, so as you can see, it's just a very simple task notification. And again, it's going to go to you as the entrepreneur, or it will go to your VA if you have a VA who's going to be, managing your onboarding. But this is just basically saying, hey, please review the client information and send them their contract for signature, right? So you have all their information as far as their name, their email, their business name, the goals that they have, what was discussed. We have the contract start date. We have the contract end date. We have the scope of the project. And basically what's going to happen is, based on this type of information, you would draw up your contract, right? You probably already have a template, and you would just fill in the information, have the price added and all that good stuff, right? Now, depending on your workflow and how soon you would want something like this to be done, you would assign a due date. For this example, I just did 1 day after the task is assigned, it should be due. So this task goes out, and then the next day that contract needs to be sent to that client who's being onboarded. Okay, and then you also can have task notifications. So since this is such a quick turnaround with the due date being the day after, there probably wouldn't need to be excessive task notifications. However, if you have a task that is due in a week, for example, or 3 days or something like that, you probably would have several notifications just so that you don't forget, okay? But in this case, I just did a task notification when the task is assigned. So as soon as it's assigned, it will go and notify that person, the entrepreneur in this case. And then it would also notify them once the task becomes due. So it would be the next day. All right. And then here are the task outcomes. The first one is I have sent out the client contract and it has been returned. The second one is the client would like to set up another call to discuss the terms of the contract. And then the third one is I have sent out the contract more than 7 days ago and the client has not returned it. So we just have three different options there. Again, you would select your outcomes based on your workflow and what makes sense for your business. So yeah, that's just something that you might want to think about for yourself. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this and it will take us back into the automation. Oops. And I'm going to scroll down and just hit done here. And then the very next thing we're going to do is add a goal. So let's go ahead and add our goal. So we click on what happens next, we click on goal. And as you can see, whenever you add a goal to an automation map, you automatically get a weight. So I'm going to click on this weight. And we're just, Entreport is just asking, how long do you want to give yourself or, this contact for, completing this goal? So in this case, this is an internal task. How long do you want to give yourself or your team to get this done? I'm going to put 7 days. Again, this is something that you would need to consider and think about. You might want to do 10 days, you might want to do 3 days. It just depends, right? So I think 7 days is a good happy medium. And then if this task is not completed within 7 days, what do you want to happen next? What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a filter and then I'm going to choose go to, and then I'm going to have this task be sent out again. All right, let's see. All right. All right, so this is going to continue to recycle every week if it doesn't get done. All right, so the goal we're going to use is task is completed, and then we're going to choose each task outcome. Okay, so we're going to have actually 3 goals for each task outcome. So where it says add goal here, this orange button, we can click there. We can type in task, and task is completed will pop right up. So of course, I'm going to ask which task, and we're going to choose the client onboarding task. And then they're asking, okay, well, it's completed with which outcome? So I'm just going to use the 3 we created. On the left-hand side is asking who can achieve this goal. Any contact on the map is correct. And then the second question here is saying if the contact is already on this map, then what should we do? Should we move them down? Yes. Okay, so we want to move them here once they achieve the goal. So I'm going to go ahead and click done. And then if you hover on the task, or I'm sorry, if you hover on the goal, you can see this cross pop up in the top left corner of it. You can click and drag that and hover over the arrow to copy that. So I'm going to copy this item and all following items. And then instead of it being the same outcome, let me scroll down. I'm going to click this drop down and select the next outcome. So again, I'm going to hover over this goal. I'm going to click on the cross in the top left corner of the goal. I'm going to hover over this arrow and, oh, let me try that again. I'm going to copy this item and all following items, and I'm going to click into this goal to select the next outcome, which is that you've sent it out more than 7 days ago and it has not been returned. Okay, so now what happens next after these goals is we are going to do a few different things. So if the task is completed with I have sent out the client contract and it has been returned, the next thing we're going to do is just send them an email. And we're going to let them know, hey, thanks for signing your contract. Be on the lookout for your invoice. I'll be sending you a link where you can remit your payment and, set up a call for your onboarding and you can meet the team, or we can go more in depth about our timeline and things like that, right? So you have to think about, how you want, or what's your process for onboarding. I know when we first get a new client, one of the first things we do after they sign their contract and remit payment is we set up an onboarding call where we go in more depth about their brand and get more information to help us with the project. So we're going to send them an email letting them know that we appreciate them signing. we are going to send them a link so that they can remit their payment, and then a link so that they can schedule their onboarding call. Okay, so again, for the sake of time, I did go ahead and create a email already. It's very basic. I didn't go into too much detail, but I just said, thanks for trusting us to help you grow your business. Keep an eye out for another email with your invoice so that you can remit your payment. And don't forget to book your onboarding call. Okay, so that's that. I'm just going to click done. And then what happens next is we are going to allow them to exit the map. All right, from here on out, more than likely with new clients, you'll be finishing your communication with them via email. No need for automation at this point or after this point. Oh, you know what I forgot? Okay, actually, after they complete their contract, we want to go ahead and click here on this plus sign because I forgot a step. So what we're going to do is we're going to change tags, and we are going to go ahead and give them a new client tag. So we're going to add, it's already on add, and then I'm going to do clients. OCC clients. Because again, if you ever go back and look through your contacts, you want to see, who you worked with over the past year, what kind of projects you've done, or just anything like that. You want to make sure that you're tagging people. So that's important. So I went ahead and added that tag element, and now we can go on to the next parts. Now, if you end up hearing back from your client and they say, hey, I looked over the contract, I have additional questions or something's not right, I would like to set up another call to discuss this. Well, so the first thing you want to do is click on what happens next, and we're going to go ahead and send them an email with a booking link. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I did already complete this email. So let me just find it here. And I will open it for you just so you can kind of see what I had in mind. But very simple email. It's just saying, the email subject line is let's book a call to discuss your concerns. And it's basically saying, hey, I know you had questions about the contract. Let's hop on another call to discuss. So, and it has the link, for booking an appointment and all that. So I will go ahead and click done here. And so after that appointment is set up, or after you send them in the email to set up that appointment, you're going to remove them from the map. And the reason why I think this is best is because more than likely, one or two things are going to happen in this case. Number one is, they decided that they're going to go in another direction. They don't like the contract, something's wrong, or maybe they maybe they misunderstood what, was going to be done for them. And so they probably will either, stop the contract, or they will need a new contract because they have additional requests, or they want something removed from the contract or things like that. So in either event, whether they decide, not to move forward with the contract, or they have concerns they want to add or remove something from the contract, it needs to be redone. So we're going to remove them from the map. And then after that second call with them and you get everything squared away with the contract, then you would fill out this internal form again and kind of bring them back through this whole process again, because there's going to be a whole nother agreement made, right? So I think it's best to just remove them and then go ahead and add add or redo the internal form once you get to that point. Because for one, who knows how long it's going to take to meet with them again, or if there are additional meetings needed after that. I just think it's, instead of having them wait on this map and you kind of trying to figure out how to set up the automation to accommodate for the extra time and then take it back up to the task, it doesn't make sense. So go ahead and send them an email with the link to book the call, and then go ahead and remove them from the map. Okay, so if the task is completed with the final option, which says, I have sent this contract out more than 7 days ago and they have not returned it, what we're going to do is we are going to send them another email, but this time we're going to just send them one of our retention emails. So we're just going to say, hey, do you still need our help? And we're kind of we're going to kind of nudge them towards, making that final decision of going ahead and signing that contract. So again, for the sake of time, I do already have that email already. I'm just going to find it here and then I will add it. Donation. 1 second. It's called retention. Here we go. Onboarding retention. Okay, so just so you can see what I had in mind, I will open it. So the subject is, are you still interested? And I did something very simple, but obviously you would go into your sales pitch again. You might want to include that PDF document that we did in video 2, where you kind of break down everything that you're going to do for them, how you can help them achieve their goals that was discussed in the discovery call and things like that. So they can just kind of get another refresher on how you can really help them. So once that is sent out, we're going to give them some time to respond. So you'll send out the email to kind of nudge them back towards making their final decision. And then I think we will give them 14 days. And again, this is completely up to you, but I'm going to give them 14 days in this case. And then time passes, 14 days. Oops. And then we're going to go ahead and remove them from the map. Okay, so up here on the top are, on the left-hand side under settings, we're going to check that box to remove them. So pretty much we're just giving them 14 days to go ahead and return this contract to you. Okay. This is just if you ever want to revisit the map to see kind of where people are at, if they're hanging out right here. There are a number of things you can do. You can pull up this list or this contact and you can call them. You can, however you want to handle it. But I think 14 days is enough time for them to kind of make their decision. If they haven't sent back the contract in that amount of time, they will be removed from the map. Okay, so that's just my thinking. The great thing about Entreport is there's so many ways to do everything. So if you think 14 days is excessive, you can send out that retention email and you can give them 2 days, so, or you can send out the retention email and, remove them immediately and just leave the ball in their court. I just think that it might be helpful if you need to come back and look and see where someone is in the process. Okay, so we have all of our options, we have all of our goals, and now what we need to do is test. So I am going to pull up that internal form. I'm going to fill it out 3 times. And once I get those tasks, I'm going to complete the task for each outcome so that we can see how the automation works each time, okay? And then we will wrap up this series. So let's go ahead and test now. Okay, so first things first, let me publish this automation. And then we can go ahead and test. All right, so that's published. I already have the form filled out, or I'm sorry, pulled up. I'm going to go ahead and fill this out. And I'm going to do it, like I said, 3 times. So that means I should get the task notification 3 times. And then each task I will fill out with a different outcome so you can see it. All right, let me do that now. And I got my thank you, so I know that Entreport did get that. Now I'm going to fill this out again for client number 2. All right, now I'm going to pull up the form so I can do the 3rd one. Okay, so I filled it out 3 times. Now we can go back inside of Entreport really quick. We'll just take a peek at the automation. And then, of course, I'll go into my email so that you can see that those tasks came through. Okay, so I'm gonna hover on contacts, go down to automations, and then I have my onboarding automation here. And as you can see, my 3 people did hit the map. Okay, so my 3 tasks were assigned and they're on the wait currently. So I'm going to go ahead and pull pull up my email and I'll show you the task that came through. All right, so here go our emails. We have all three of them. These are the tasks. So of course, we'll start with our first one. Click on the link here to complete the task. So here it is. They're telling me, go ahead and complete this. So keep in mind that these tasks are not set up to be completed right away because number one, you are, as the entrepreneur in this use case, you have to go through, look through their file, create the contract, send it off to them, and then you have to wait to hear back from them or not hear back from them, maybe if it's over a week, but you're kind of leaving this task open to see, what happens, and then you would only complete the outcome, of course, when you're able to, right? So this is a very quick test just to show you how the automation works, but of course, once you're really going through this, it'll take some time, obviously. So, so for this first task, I'm going to complete it with the outcome. I have sent out the client contract and it has been returned. So as you can see, you can type notes if you need to. I'm just going to mark this as done. Task is complete. I'm going to exit out and then I'm going to go down to our second prospect and I will pull up the task here. All right, Sam Donnelly, Sam's Hardware. So I'm going to click on the task outcome. And for this one, of course, I'm going to select the next option, which is the client would like to set up another call to discuss the terms. So that is that. I'm going to mark this as done and then exit out. And now we're going to do our last prospect, Jazzy. All right, I'm going to click on the link here to complete the task. And of course, this case is going to be, I've sent out the contract more than 7 days ago and the client has not returned it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mark this as done. And now we'll go back to the automation. All right, so let me kind of zoom out and I'll refresh this. All right. Okay, so let me scroll down. All right, so as you can see, our automation did work. All right, so we have our one person who, they returned their contract as expected. They got their tag. I will go back to the email to show you that that email was received. And then we have our second prospect who, they have additional questions. So we sent them an email letting them know that they can click this link to set up another onboarding call. And then we did remove them from the map. And then lastly, we have Jazzy. She did not follow up. Okay. She did not fill out the contract. And so we sent out an email to kind of nudge her back to making that final decision. And now she's here waiting. So we're just waiting for her to go ahead and respond and send us our contract so we can start work with her. All right, so now I'm going to go back to my email so that you can see that those emails were received. Okay, because each of them got an email. One of them got an email just to say, thank you for signing and, be on the lookout for your link to remit payment. The second prospect got an email saying, hey, click here to book now. And the third client got an email letting them know that, we can still help you. Please let us know if you've changed your mind. So let's hop back over into our email and I will show you those came through. All right, so as you can see, I got all three emails for each person. Okay, so thank you for returning your contract. It has their name, everything came through perfectly. I'm not going to do anything else from there, but you can see it worked. This is for the last person, Jazzy, who did not respond within that week time frame. And we're just asking her, does she still want to move forward? And then, of course, we have our last prospect. This person was Sam for Sam's Hardware. He wanted to book another call, so we sent them the link to do so. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And that wraps up this series. All right, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this series on how to get more out of your CRM and leverage your systems to create and manage your internal tasks. Okay, and if there's anything that you would like for me to go back over or explain in more detail, or just kind of give you some tips based on your specific needs in your business, I would love to hear from you. Please drop me a comment and I will get back to you as soon as possible. All right, until then, we'll see you next week.
Pampa me on, pampa me on.